Good morning everybody, and hope you're all okay. And I know it's a little while since I last did one of these videos, but I was looking for a suitable subject to talk about for my next video, and I think I found one right here. I've not discussed my favourite TV show yet, so I thought that I would give a brief introduction to the world of David Callan, played by Woodward and created by the author and screenwriter James Mitchell. Callan was first seen in 1967. He appeared in 44 episodes of the TV show called Callan and 5 novels, played only by Woodward. Callan was a spy and an assassin for a mysterious government section just called the Section. He answered to a guy called Charlie Hunter, and there are several different actors who played Hunter. The best one for me was William Squire. He generally had a backup man called Toby Mears. There were 2 or 3 actors who played Toby Mears. Peter Bowles played him first of all in black and white episodes in the first series, and then in the second series it changed to Anthony Valentine, who I think was far better. Anthony Valentine's an immensely underrated actor. In the latest series, when it went to colour, there's a guy called James Cross, played by Patrick Mower, who is kind of like the guy he was training, but also the guy who basically had a grudge against him. Callan's job was basically to take people out of the game, whether by extorting them, blackmailing them, or depending on the colour of the folder of his target. If it came in a red folder, his job was to take him out completely. Callan was not like James Bond. He wasn't suave or cool or anything like that. He was grounded, he was flawed, he was human, he made mistakes. The only person who actually cares about him in his world was this really nervous, ratty little guy called Lonely, played by Russell Hunter. 10 of the episodes are no longer available. They were wiped by some moron at ITV in the late 60s, and it's the black and white episodes that got affected. There was also the Callan film. The Callan film is basically a remake of the first episode of this series, which was called A Magnum for Schneider, which was also the first book of the series written by James Mitchell. The other books are Death and Bright Water, Smear Job, and I can't remember the name of the other book, but I have got all 4 of them off the top of my head. The 5th one was written about 25 years later, and it's kind of a bit of a strange book. It basically ties up Callan's story, and at the end he gets a girlfriend and so forth. Callan's main hobby was little miniature soldiers like you get in Games Workshop. Apart from that, he's really good with firearms and martial arts. He was a sergeant in the British Army who got busted for assaulting a senior officer, and then he was thrown out on a discharge. He then became a criminal and he was caught, but he was recruited by the section because he was seen as a good person to have with those kind of skills. And so in the first episode of Magnum for Schneider, he's brought in and he's basically told, you need to go and find out what this German guy is doing. He loves toy soldiers, you love toy soldiers, find out what he's doing and eliminate him if you have to. And that's the first episode and the film. The best episode and my favourite is probably Where Else Could I Go? At the end of the second series, the last episode in black and white, Callan was actually shot during a mission and he was injured. And then the first episode in colour, which is Where Else Could I Go, is him recovering and then coming back to the section and being given a job to prove that he is actually still worthy of doing the task that he's given by Hunter. I think it's a fantastic series. It is available on DVD on both sides of the Atlantic. The books are also well worth reading, especially Magnum for Schneider, which has been printed and reprinted hundreds of times. It's just a really great series. It's very gritty and it's very grounded. It's something you have to really think your way into. It's not like a Bond film, which is very sort of action based and there's an awful lot of, hey, can I have a vodka martini shaken not stirred. Callan lives in this really nasty little flat with barely any running water. The blinds hanging down in the window and all that sort of stuff. He lives a very, very insular life. It's a really great series, very intelligent. James Mitchell also wrote the John Craig novels, of which one of the books called The Innocent Bystanders Were Turned into a Film with Stanley Baker, which I think you want to check out. The first book in that series is called The Man Who Sold Death. The John Craig books, they're kind of similar to the Callan books. Of course, they're written by the same author, but they exist in a slightly different world. John Craig is a little bit more James Bondish by way of Harry Palmer, if you've read those books, of course the Michael Caine films. But yeah, Callan, I would say, is my absolute favourite TV show. My dad introduced it to me when I was a little kid. Edward Woodward, of course, made his name as The Equalizer. I enjoyed The Equalizer as well, but it's nowhere near as smart or as intelligent as Callan. So I think that if you did want to check Callan out, there are full episodes. There's all of the episodes available on this channel. If you do want to have a look at them, and I think that you would really get something out of them because they are that good. All right, well, I hope you have a very good morning and stay safe. Ta-da.